All right, we are back. We were talking about taking a break when we feel claustrophobic in the session and making sure that we have time and space to kind of go out there and just take a breather, have a coffee, grab a smoke, whatever it is. Just make sure that we are not feeling uncomfortable, or even take a bathroom break if that's needed. We have to be physically comfortable and mentally comfortable when we are in a mediation or a negotiation or even a mooting. All right. The next one, let me see if I can get this going. Yes. How much small talk is too much small talk? I think I'm covering the doggy's face here, so I'm going to move us to the left over there. Let's see if I can. Yeah, I think that's okay for now. So how much small talk is too much small talk in negotiation and mediation, and why it's important to respect the privacy of different personalities? Do you guys have an insight on this?
For us, there wasn't much scope for small talk within the rounds in itself, but what the practice was, especially given the online setting, is that everyone would take 10 minutes in the beginning to introduce themselves. Right. And then as much as possible, there would be small talk until everyone else had arrived on the call, because typically you might have one judge arriving later or one team arriving later. So during that time, you can always interact and joke about the current ongoing situation, or just ask them how they're doing in whichever country that they are in. And I think it also really helps to just thank everyone who is on the call for overcoming whatever obstacles and making the effort to actually be there, either to hear your competition round or to just listen to your case or your argument or for the mediation, just to thank everyone and appreciate that everyone has gone through some amount of difficulties, especially given difference in time zones. For some people, it's not as simple as just a 5 p.m. meeting. It could be in the middle of the night, and everyone is doing different things to be able to make it. So appreciating the effort that everyone else has made to be there kind of can set the mood very well before you begin the actual purpose of your meeting to start off with.
Okay. Yes. Ashika, you have an insight on this? What if there are people who don't really like small talk? And it's also a cultural thing. A lot of we back in India like to get involved with this, at least a little bit of conversation and talk about anything and everything that's unrelated to the topic. And I think that's fine as long as it's not related to the topic. But then you have the the more Western culture, like the American culture, where people are more involved and they are more about the problem solving approach. Just want to get straight to it and talk numbers. Is that something that and how do you take care of those kind of situations?
I think yeah, very honestly, so we did face an American team which was actually going through a very difficult time, considering they had their rounds beginning at about 2 a.m. in the night and they went till about 10 a.m. in the morning. Wow. So essentially they'd stayed up the entire night just to give 4 consecutive rounds, and they were definitely very tired by that point of time. However, I believe that you just need to fill in that time till everybody is ready and comfortable in their space. Like, you don't take like 10-15 minutes into the session to just have a chat or gossip about things. So we just used to do that to save fill time till everybody was there, everybody was comfortable, we could hear everyone, just to make a quick sound check and like, all right, fine, you can hear me, I'm visible, all right, fine, now let's get to work. So it's not like you waste a lot of time doing it, but it just sets the mood for the meeting in general.
So I think
just to add on to that, you can kind of gauge how much a person wants to talk to you on the basis. So if conversation continues beyond just the hi, how are you doing? Can you hear me clearly? Then you know that okay, they're genuinely interested and like want to speak with you. But otherwise, the convenience is also that if you have an awkward moment where you have to wait for another person to arrive and the other team seems like they don't want to interact, you can always mute your mic, shut your camera off, and continue like getting your stuff ready, or speak to your co-counsel on the side. So I mean, you can gauge body language from them even via the virtual world.
But
and I think Kaira and I did that also Kaira and I did that for quite a many rounds, when we were just like, all right, fine, we'll just discuss our strategy for the round instead of like communicating with the other team. That works also.
Right. Yeah. But there are always people who can fake it, right? They come, they're all excited. How are you doing, Kaira? How's the day today? And then Ashika, so did you have your lunch? What did you have for lunch? And everyone seems really interested, and you feel like, oh, these guys are really happening people, and they're all into you. And then that could be used as a flattering technique to also kind of get in under your skin, right? And flattery is used as a negotiation tactic to basically also kind of get the upper hand sometimes and get better deals. So you got to be careful about that, and that's what we want to say to our viewers, that I guess as long as we're not getting into uncomfortable spaces and not moving from small talk to gossip, I think small talk is fine and it's not uncomfortable for anyone. we also got to be aware of cultural differences. So maybe if we are dealing with people more from the Western culture, we might not want to get too much into a small talk and limit it. Whereas someone from the Western culture dealing with someone from an Indian culture maybe, or Eastern culture would spend more time. And I think on both sides, there has to be a bit of a compromise. It has to be, at the end of the day, both sides have to find that fine line between beyond which they don't want to continue the small talk. But that's, once again, as Kaira says, something that we learn on the go, and we have to watch body language for that. And we will see the signs that tell us whether we should speak more or not speak more. Okay. I think this was about the same thing, like needing a break. Like if you need to have, I've seen a lot of people coming to Zoom calls with a hamburger and a nice milkshake. Is that allowed? I mean, I have a glass, a cup of water here right now, so I guess that's okay. But what about food and drinks and smokes? Would you like it if someone's just smoking out there in front of the camera? And his argument will, of course, be, listen, I'm not even smoking in your face right now. This is virtual. You know, you're not breathing the polluted air. But yeah, what's your take on that?
I think it depends upon what the meeting is for. If it's with colleagues who are friends with you and everything, and the purpose is just to discuss a couple of things, then I'm sure that there'll be more leeway. But in a formal setting, I don't think anything beyond a simple like glass of water or maybe a cup of tea or coffee is appropriate, especially since eating kind of hinders your ability to respond immediately, etc., etc. But I think keep it to a minimum as much as possible.
Okay. Anything you want to add to that, Ashika?
No, definitely. I agree with Kaira.
Okay, great. So they're saying keep the eating and drinking and of course no smoking in the room. Please take a break. You can always take a break. Put your video off, put your audio off, and go out, grab a smoke, and come back. So that's the more courteous thing to do, and that's what we suggest to the viewers. Okay. Let's see if we can move into the next slide. Yes, breakout rooms. You guys have an opinion on this. I have my take on this. So what's the purpose of a breakout room? Zoom allows you a breakout room. There are other softwares that allow you other versions of a breakout room. So before I get your opinion on this, my opinion or my perspective on a breakout room is I'm trying to figure out what's its purpose and why is it even needed. In case I want to kind of just imagine I had somebody else with me right now and we were negotiating with you two, okay? So say me and Mr. X were negotiating with Kaira and Ashika, and I wanted a break right now to discuss my strategy with Mr. X, who's my co-counsel, and I want to leave this meeting right now. The best thing that I can do is basically just, I guess, mute my audio, mute my video, and leave, right? So I do it right here. I'm off.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't even hear you.
And I come back just when I need to. And of course, before I do that, I can just politely excuse myself. I say, Kaira, Ashika, I got to speak to my co-counsel right now. So I'm going to leave the room, but I'm not going to leave the meeting. So I'm going to put off my video, I'm going to put off my audio, and I'm just going to have a conversation with my co-counsel. That's my point of view. In this way, I'm not worried about the software and bugs in the software. And people are really getting paranoid with all this different conspiracy theories about people bugging software and getting insights into what's happening. Governments are worried about having Zoom calls. You know, I recently read a report about the UK government now saying they should get off Zoom calls because it's getting a bit dangerous. And nothing against Zoom here, and I'm sure they'll fix the bug. But to save upon all this, you know, we could just, I guess the easier thing to do is just put off your video, put off your audio, and have this separate conversation. But I want to get your point of view on that. That's my personal point of view.
Yeah, I think that works perfectly fine. And I think that can also apply even when you do not have your co-counsel sitting by your side. As in a similar way, even if say Kaira and I want to discuss, even we are in two different locations, we can simply turn our video and our audio off and have like a phone call or a chat over WhatsApp or anything along those lines. And I think that really serves the purpose. And I think one more feature which we could probably make use of is the private room feature, which most apps allow you to, as in just the two teams can be pushed into different rooms wherein only Kaira and I will talk to each other, and like the rest of them will not know of the conversation that we are having. So I think either of these platforms serves as a good one, provided that you just take the permission for it. Like, just be honest about it and be like, I want to discuss certain things, so give me a 2-minute break. And I think that's enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that, Kaira? No. All right, cool. So we go to the next slide. If we want to talk about our settings, we spoke about light and sound in the rooms that they're sitting. But you will, of course, I'm sure you've come across people who have Zoom calls with you who are sitting in rooms like this in the slide, with the attics turned into libraries, and there's a lot happening there. So our suggestion to viewers is not to get distracted and not to be curious and creepy about it. Start looking. Oh, that's a lovely book you have there. I didn't know you were a fan of so and so. And then suddenly the person gets really, oh God, I'm being watched. Like everything in my room is being checked. And basically you get very conscious of your own setting. So how do you deal with that? Firstly, of course, I think you don't want to be setting a room like this, right? But if you can't, then you got to make sure that it's not distracting. But also,
you could either draw a curtain to make sure that the background window is not visible, or just try having as plain a background as possible. Not only because it might distract the viewers themselves, but it just forces them to focus on what you're seeing in particular, because they've got nothing else to really look at just by means of a distraction. So I think that's the most important. And even having like a clear cluttered table, a clear table in itself, so this is particularly important whenever, especially for a competition, because by having part of your table visible, but at the same time having very few notes and sheets available, shows the judges that you are well prepped and that your thoughts are not messy and scattered all across. So it just creates the image of you being well prepared, even irrespective. Whereas if your table is going to be hidden, then it makes it seem like you have something to hide, and because then they're not sure what you're looking down at if you're referring to your sheets and stuff. So just adding more transparency to the process in which you're presenting your arguments or trying to negotiate.
Okay. I'm making a lot of notes here, and we're going to come down to that a little later with note making. But thank you for those insights. So we are saying try and keep our settings as neat as possible, so that it just adds to this whole thing we're talking about, building online trust. The neater your settings, I think it just sets for a more amicable, environment where people can actually trust and have faith in what you're saying. There are no other things that are distracting them from the real conversations. Yes, talking about cleaning up your room, I think a lot of people need to clean also their desktops. Mine looked pretty similar to this before I cleaned it up. This is not mine. I picked this up online. You can't even see what's the title of this thing. It's called screen sharing. If you can read it right here. That's where it is. But so how important is it to clean your desktop, especially if you might be involved in screen sharing? Because it's literally like cleaning up your room, right? It's because right now, desktops are our offices. So I think, would you guys agree with me on this? Cleaning up your desktops, making sure it's neat and clean. Any insights, any anecdotes?
I think, definitely. It's not a very big thing, very honestly. But I think in a virtual platform, it is small things like these which really add up to it. So all these things can be really part of your soft skills, so to say, as in just having as Kaira said, clean table, clean background, clean desktop. It just makes you look more presentable, more prepped. It shows that you have probably paid attention to even small things like these. So it's just to have a good impression on the people listening to you.
Perfect. Kaira, you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. Let's move on to the next slide. Making notes. Maybe we can get some insights from you guys on this, because as mooting teams, I'm not sure, and especially when you guys were arguing, I don't know how much time you have to make notes. But I think it's also important to kind of be very clear with the people you're sitting in the room and say that right in the start. In fact, I didn't do this, and I should have, is just inform them that I'm making notes. That's like sometimes I might lose eye contact with you guys, and my eyes might be facing downwards, and basically I would just be not paying attention to you visually, but I am listening to you. So how important is to make notes beyond just the eye contact part?
I think different things work for different people. I like making extensive notes. So then very often my head is down while the other person is giving a speech, while Ashika will just scribble a couple of words on the side, which is good enough for her. So I think it's very specific to the person who is speaking, and do whatever works for you in real life. If you want elaborate lines or sentences that you want to be able to say later on, then you do that since it works out well. Just mention in the beginning that as in I'll be doing this, and so don't mind if I lose eye contact. And even, I mean, again, like if the camera shows that you're making notes at the same time, it's transparent to the other people that as in, okay, that person is not looking at me, but they're clearly focusing because they're writing down what I'm saying. So they value what I'm saying. So stuff like that as well.
Yeah, I think beyond also transparency, that's a very important point you bring up, as the theme of today's session is about building trust. Beyond transparency, I think note making also helps you to not interrupt too much. And, you know, even if someone has said something completely ridiculous, you want to just not get in the right away and make your note and get back to it a bit later. So that prevents you from reacting aggressively or getting all hostile. And sometimes it could happen right at the start of a meeting, and you don't want that to happen. So a better option that you respond to it in a much more mature way would be to make a note of it, of what has been said, and then address it later on when you get a chance to speak. So that's our suggestion to the viewers today about note making. Ashika, I'm sorry, I didn't check with you. Want to add something to this?
No, I think that is it. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So expressing ourselves with regards to body language, we're coming back to this. I'm not sure whether Kaira is already bored. She's kind of got it.
No, I'm laughing because Ashika just shot me a look via the camera, accusing me of doing all of these things, which is why I was like...
No, yawning, this has not happened today so far with the three of us, thank God. Frowning, that is not happened.
So I'll tell you one thing, okay? So yawning is something which I think Kaira can accuse me of, because I was usually the third or the fourth speaker, which essentially meant that there was an hour into the meeting after which I had to speak. Frowning is something, and smirking also, you can accuse Kaira of. Like, she just cannot control her emotions if the other person is not making sense, and you can just see it on her face. So I think it's very, very important to calm yourself down, to curb your feelings. Like, at the most, I think one thing which helped me was just my glass of water. Like, if I'm feeling like I'll just fall asleep any moment, I'll be like, all right, constantly drink water. And I think the same worked for Kaira, as in whenever she used to be like, oh my God, what is happening? Her tea was always there for her. So yeah.
Yeah, so keep yourself hydrated. That's your suggestion. Make sure there's enough oxygen in the room. I don't know, but everyone I've said this theory to has laughed at me, but I believe that a lot of yawning happens because of lack of oxygen in the room. So I'm not sure whether there's a scientific background to this, but it's my theory that lack of oxygen in the room sometimes leads to yawning. Maybe it's true because it just gets you tired, because maybe it's connected to hydration. I don't know, but there's proper ventilation in the room. And I know a lot of people who are going to watch this right now and laugh at me, but make sure there's proper ventilation. Make sure you're hydrated so there is less yawning. Frowning and smirking is more related to what other person's doing. And how important is that, now that Kaira, you're being accused of doing this, how important is where you draw the line and say, I'm going to be sincere about this. I think that's ridiculous. I'm going to make myself clear about it. I'm not going to say it directly, I'll show it facially. So
I generally, I mean, this is a problem I have in real life as well, which is I just can't control my expressions ever. I have a very transparent face that way. So, I mean, I've always dealt with it, but it becomes worse on an online platform because I think all of your expressions are just exaggerated if you're the one on the screen. And in fact, I remember even for the finals, my friends who were watching, they were like, you know, the way that you smirked during your rebuttal was just so aggressive and unnecessary. And they were like, it's funny because, you know, this is the toned down Kaira version of who we know. But at the same time, compared to everyone else on the screen, my expressions would just still emphasize because I just tend to be an animated person as opposed to everyone else. So even when you're in a room which is as formal because everyone else has poker faces, even your slightest expressions do make a difference, which is why I would look down most often. I would just like make notes and like look down to like mask my expressions. I would try my best because I'm just really bad at it. But I guess everyone finds their way around it.
That's a good idea. I think that's a tip for all our viewers. If you can't really handle the madness that's going on, just kind of turn your gaze towards your notes and kind of pretend you're busy there. But yeah, I think that's a really important point, and I've learned this over my negotiation class roughly, that don't give away that you're disappointed in somebody. Don't give away. You want to get as much information as you can from them. So if you smirk or frown while they're in between their sentence, you might lose out on a lot of information. Because they might stop in their tracks and say, oh, they don't like it. You know, so just try and control it. That's our suggestion. basically, as Kaira says, find ways of kind of mellowing that down so that you don't kind of give away your stance already too early in the negotiation. Of course, no coughing and sneezing as much as we can, especially right now with the coronavirus. Even though it's a virtual world, it's really rude to be coughing into your screen. So you want to kind of, there's a common courtesy, but yeah, you just want to address that, make sure that you do that politely. Yes, what do we have next? Where am I? All right. I guess this is the last slide, but I don't know why this was the last slide. But being punctual, it has to be one of our foremost things, right? It's important to be there for our meetings on time, set an alarm, check in early, make sure the logistics are all set, your room is set properly. You might have checked the previous day, but you want to make sure everything is in place. Yeah, how else do you think you can be punctual and just it's part of the online trust building. You don't want to be late because that sets the wrong tone, right? Have you guys experienced that kind of situations? How do you feel about that when someone's late?
So I think we were.
Go ahead, Ashika.
All right, fine. I think we both are very strict on time, as in individually also. So both of us say logged into our accounts at least 15 minutes prior to the rounds, if not before. So that ensured that we were there absolutely on time. In fact, before time. And usually most of the arbitrators and teams would also not be there. So say everybody used to drop in by say at least 5 minutes before the round. So all of us were ready by before the scheduled time of the round essentially began. And we used that extra time to say check up on the other things, like if we were audible, if our setting was right, if we were not too close or too far away from the camera, all of these extra things which probably save the real time of your rounds. So all of this is very important in the sense that arbitrators also used to acknowledge that, all right, fine, this team is here, they are present on time, they have checked the logistics, and say other things which you might have to say agree upon before the real rounds begin. Say in a moot court competition, we had to agree upon the procedure to be followed, as in who goes first and who addresses the issues first. So all this could be done before the scheduled rounds, and it basically shows that you are very attentive and you are there on time and you've made that extra effort to check up on these other things. So yeah, it is very definitely important.
Okay. Kaira, you want to add to that? Anything that
just to add shortly to that, I think what's surprising I found is that even though it is a virtual meeting and you don't have to go anywhere, being punctual means being early, because you have so many different things to check, like sound, video, that your laptop's charging, your battery is not low, your table's not cluttered, the lighting is good, you have locked your room, you have enough water. You have a million things to do. And by the end of it, the entire process of just setting up takes 20 minutes, making sure that you're dressed appropriately, that your face is visible. So, just being early all the time is just better, because as in something completely unforeseen could happen, like your Wi-Fi could stop, your laptop could crash, and then you can use that extra time that you had allotted to be able to fix the issue. And you can never predict what will go wrong, so it's just better to waste 20 minutes before than to delay the entire round or the entire meeting by an hour after that.
Perfect. So all of you tuned in still and who have still borne with us for the last few minutes now, it's turned into an hour. Thank you for being there and listening and catching up with us. If you have any suggestions, any feedback, we would like to hear from you. You have heard from a couple of young champions on the Vis Moot scene, and from their experiences, bringing in what we have learned from our practical experiences and trying to see if it could be of help for you while you venture into the online space. Is there anything else you would like to add to what we have said today? Anything I've missed out, you think, Kaira, Ashika, that we could?
I really don't think we've missed out.
All right, I'm not going to exhaust you anymore. Thank you so much for joining us, and I wish you the best in your future careers in the dispute resolution world. And I hope you continue to have a softer side for mediation and negotiation, even though you guys right now are hardcore mooters.
Yes,
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, guys.